How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Family. We are back with another FPL live stream here on Twitch, and today it is the final game week of the season upon us. Game week 38. We're going to be taking a look at how I did in game week 37. Again, another disappointing week, but nonetheless, we can look forward to all the games being played at the same time. Game week 38, everything kicks off at 4 p.m. UK time. All at the same time. There's going to be goals coming thick and fast, so make sure you have your popcorn ready because there's bound to be some fireworks with the top 4 race still very much in the balance. Basically, there's a few teams that are vying for it. European places are still being fought for as well, and even goal difference could come down to it, so it could be quite interesting in the next few days, and hopefully the teams are ready for it because it's going to be a bit of a tough task. Leicester have a very tough game versus Spurs, although Spurs losing to Villa may make it a little bit easier for them. Chelsea have a game versus Villa themselves, so that's not easy either because Villa are going to have their fans there. Leicester, I believe, are at home, as well as Liverpool, so they're both advantaged them in terms of the home crowds getting behind them on that front. So, and Liverpool again, doing quite well. Roy Hodgson's last away game, and it could be an interesting one. So yeah, top 4 race is definitely on. We're going to take a look at the transfers I'm potentially looking at as well. We're going to take a look at the predictions and differentials as we normally do. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Oh, for some reason, all my webcams are broken. Well, not broken, but like you can see that there's the green screen's not covering. So let me just fix that up a little bit. We'll just unlock that. Shrink that just a little bit. Move that over a little. Nope, gotta go a little bit more. Little bit more. Boom. There we go. Nice and easy. Let's take this cable out. Yeah, a little bit of live behind the scenes action that you see there. For some reason, I don't know if it's just because when you pull up the green screen, it's not actually like bolted to the ground, so I can technically, as I pull it up, move it over a little bit. So maybe that's what I keep doing. But yeah. So 49 points, so didn't make the 50-point mark. So yeah, not ideal. And then with the -4, we're on 45 points. For a small red arrow of around like 30-ish K places. We did have a few good players, good players come in today. Trent getting 6 points was nice. Digne's 8 points was definitely a surprise, considering I didn't expect Everton to keep a clean sheet, even though they were playing Wolves. And then Lingard, I think, he must have got a bonus point because they didn't keep maybe even 2 bonus points. We'll check that when we go to check the scores. But yeah, he should have got 5 points, so maybe he got two bonus points with just getting assists, which is quite nice to see. So not too bad there, but everything else is quite disappointing. Fernandez could have potentially had way more points. He was mainly like kind of our differential, as it were. Shaw, disappointing, 1 point got booked. Fernandez also got booked as well, which was the only 2 players on United to get booked in the whole game versus Fulham, and it was both of them. Salah, again, just 3 points. Both him and Kane, both blank, so they're going to be going into the final day of the season chasing the golden boot on even grounds, which is going to be interesting. Vardy, just the 2 points. Calvert-Lewin, just the 2 points. Ian actually getting himself a goal and a bonus point off the bench, which was quite nice to see, so I'm glad I kept the faith with him. Then on the bench, just a bunch of points. The only thing we could have done is just put Ward-Prowse in for one of our players that got 2 points, but they end up getting the same number of points because we can't supplement for Shaw. So, yeah, that's the max number of points we could have got, which is very rare this season because I've had a lot of bench points, and even our goalkeepers were the same. So yeah, not too bad there. Just kind of a whatever game week. Basically, kind of the big hitters that you could have had potentially would have been Bamford. None of the big captaincy options did well. I mean, Fernandez only got 4 points. Kane got 2, Salah got 3, so it's not really too much to kind of split between there. If you went for a differential like Antonio, or you went for Lingard, or you went for Bamford, you would have been a little bit better off. So it is interesting to see that. come to fruition in some game weeks. But yeah, all things considered, not too bad this week. It's this game week 38 that's going to be stressful for me because I have a lot of problems in my team. Even though it doesn't look like it, I definitely do have a lot of problems, and we'll get to that in a second. Just quickly, we're going to take a look at the Premier League table. So this is how the Premier League table stands. So on the final day of the season, everyone's going to be playing each other at the same time. The only time that the players are going to know what the scores are from the other games is when it's halftime and they're in the dressing room, or they get news from it on the sidelines or something like that. So if we look at the teams that don't really have much to play for, so all the relegation teams, Fulham, West Brom, Sheffield United, they're all relegated. They have nothing to play for. Man City, it's just going to be their home fans. Man United, they're away from home and they're playing Wolves. So, again, that's a dead rubber game. Nothing can really change there. United they can only become second. They can't come first and they can't come third. Wolves, I guess they can get slightly more prize money with a slightly higher finish, I guess. But, again, at the end of the day, not really going to be that massive of a, it's not going to make or break the club. Burnley, Brighton, Newcastle, they don't really have too much to play for, apart from, again, positioning. Same as Southampton, same with Palace. It's the teams that play against them that will have something to play for. So the likes of Arsenal can still potentially, on a very rare instance, but they could still potentially come 7th. If Everton lose to Man City, which is definitely possible, and Spurs lose to Leicester, and Arsenal win versus Brighton, they will actually jump into the Europa Conference League spot, which would be very interesting to see. Leeds play West Brom, so they're just, again, they can't make the Conference League spot unless they get an absolute ridiculous goal difference, which isn't going to happen. They have to make up. Basically, Spurs would have to lose like 10-0, and they would have to win 10-0. It's not very likely. So they're pretty much not playing for anything. Villa, same thing. It's realistically Arsenal looking for potentially 7th. Everton looking for 7th, most likely. Spurs maybe 6th. Leicester, West Ham, Liverpool, Chelsea, all European places as well. So those are the main games that we have to look at. And going into it, the goal difference is this column here. So Liverpool and Chelsea have 1 goal difference apart. So if Liverpool and Chelsea, if Chelsea lose by any margin, as long as Liverpool get a point, they're in. So, and then depending on how much they lose by, will depend on if Leicester get in. So if Leicester and Liverpool both draw, and then Chelsea loses, let's say 3-0, both Leicester and Liverpool get in. And that's when everyone will be on 67 points, and the goal difference will come into play. West Ham, they can't make Champions League anymore because they can't reach 66 points in one game, but they can still make it so that as long as they get at least a point, so they have to at least get a point versus Southampton in order to get themselves a Europa League place, or at least a buy-in to the bracket or whatever it is to get into Europa League. So at least they'll have some European football, which would be nice to see. Leicester, it's not in their hands anymore. Even if they win, they still can come 5th, basically. Liverpool, if they win, they're in. Assuming it's not, if they have 4 goals over Leicester, so pretty much in most cases, unless they win 1-0 and then Leicester wins 5 or 6-0 or something like that, something erratic like that. Pretty much Liverpool, in most cases, it's win and you're in. Chelsea, it's win and you're in. Leicester, it's win and hope one of the other two drop points or don't score, or concede, or they lose or something like that, right? And then Arsenal, it's win and hope Everton and Spurs lose. Everton, it's win and hope Spurs lose, or draw and hope Spurs lose. And then Spurs, it's win and hope West Ham lose. And then the Spurs can get 6th. So it's going to be quite interesting. And Spurs play Leicester, so they're both fighting for something. That's going to be quite interesting. Aston Villa's not really fighting for anything, but they have the fans there, so they're going to want to play spoiler versus Chelsea. Liverpool play Palace again. Palace literally have nothing to play for, basically. Apart from, hey, look, it's Roy Hodgson's last game. Let's just go out there and kind of not hope to get absolutely pounded, basically. West Ham versus Southampton again, maybe just playing spoiler. But I believe, do West Ham play at home on the last day of the season? I can't remember. I believe they do because they played, West Brom today, away from home. So yeah, that's going to be definitely interesting on that front. So now that we've looked at the table, we can come back here and see how the results went. So we do our predictions every week. How's it going, John Wick? We're just about to get into how we did on the predictions, and I think I got a couple right. Yeah, not doing too bad on the predictions. It's been kind of average the last few weeks. I see no City men in your lineup. Well, because Man City, the problem is that they rotate too much. That's kind of the problem. You need players to start. And I blew it. Well, yeah, I mean, I've been very unlucky all season and been making some pretty bad decisions in some cases. Some good ones that just haven't paid off. So that's kind of the problem. But also, again, there's been, random, COVID things that have caused things to go out of proportion. The United Liverpool game got called off, so that could have potentially changed. It could have been a different result, depending on when it, came about. Like, technically, it had that game gone ahead, United would have probably played full strength. They could have beaten Liverpool, and then Liverpool wouldn't even necessarily have been even in with a shot for top four now. So, swings and roundabouts, as it were. But yeah, so for our predictions, if you get the exact score right, it's 3 points. If you get the result right, so you predicted a win and it was a win, you get 1 point. And if you get anything else, you get 0 points. How much is the average this week? I will check. I believe it is. So that average isn't right. It's not 18. I believe it's 45. I think it's 45. 51 average. There you go. Which is a bit weird. I find that to be quite high, considering none of the major captains did well. Which is interesting. But maybe Watkins, Bamford boost that up quite a bit. But yeah, it's a bit weird. Marlon got 49 this week. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. But yeah, I'm not sure. I thought the average was 50. Yeah, average is 51. I thought it was 45 for some reason. I could be wrong. Yeah, I predicted United 3-0 over Fulham. It ended up being 1-1. It was actually kind of a bad game. United played terribly. I hope that United at least play some of the first team in the game versus Wolves, because there are some players that are just not playing well at the moment. And either they need minutes to get out of that, or they need to be rested, in which case then you have to get yourself off for a one-off game. Yeah, could be a bit of a tough one. But yeah, 1-1, so he didn't get the result there. Up to 47k. So if you want to stay in the top 50k mono, all you have to do is just do the safe thing. Don't take any hits. Don't do anything crazy. If your team's fine, just use the one transfer, and then you end up with a good rank. Most likely, obviously, assuming no crazy things. But if you have like Salah, Kane, Fernandez, even with somebody who could come in as a backup, I would say keep those players. Don't do anything like crazy, like take -8s or 12s or anything like that. Leeds won 2-0 over Southampton, getting a late second goal. I predicted 2-1, so we got 1 point. City was up 2-0 on Brighton, and then decided, yeah, we're just going to concede 3 goals because we have a red card for some reason, even though they were in control of the game. But yeah, got that one wrong for sure. Chelsea edging that one 2-1. Leicester making it interesting for the final 20 minutes after Iheanacho's goal. So that was quite an interesting one, but we got that prediction wrong. Everton versus Wolves. We predicted a 1-goal margin with a 2-1 win. It ended up being 1-0, so we get 1 point for that. Newcastle versus Sheffield United. Exact score, so we get 3 points for that. Spurs Villa, we predicted 2-1, just the wrong way around. Villa came to play. Spurs getting the early goal through Steven Bergwijn, and then basically 2 just sheer mess ups by Reguilon caused Spurs the 3 points. Arsenal Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace equalized back after Pepe's initial goal through Benteke, but then went on to secure the W. Did Arsenal away from home with Pepe's second goal, as well as Martinelli getting a goal as well. Liverpool predicted 2-1, ended up being 3-0. Pretty solid performance by Liverpool. So we get the 1 point there. And then West Ham, 3-1 win. They got a late goal through Antonio, assisted by Lingard, which allowed him to get 7 points, which probably helped my team out quite a bit. So yeah, we get the 1 point there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 points. It's like average-ish. Would have liked 1 more point, but all things considered, it was definitely better than last week where I only got 4, which isn't ideal. So, clean sheet, Man United didn't happen. Dubravka kept a clean sheet, which was quite good. Lindelof didn't pay off. St. Maximin was not involved in the goal FPL-wise. And Firmino came through, getting himself on the score sheet as well. So we did, we got a couple in there, but nothing to really brag about, as it were. Remember I told you League work was behind 21 and is going... differential now 1 point behind going into the final week. He's been in front since the start. Well, there you go. Yeah, you're chipping away, chipping away. So basically, what you need to do is look at the team and see what little bits and bobs you can potentially change, and then go from there. Basically, if you know there's one differential player that maybe not necessarily anyone's looking at that has that could benefit you, maybe you go for them. Or maybe if you think, okay, he's going Salah captain. Or they know that they have to get Salah in for a hit. So, like as an example, I know that there's one person that's slightly ahead of me by, I want to say it's like 20-ish points. And basically, they don't have Salah at the moment, and a lot of people are going to be captaining Salah, and he's going to be going for the golden boot and that sort of stuff. And they want to bring him in, they have to do it for a hit because they used their transfer this week, and they have no money in the bank, and they have no player that can go up to Salah because Salah's the most expensive player in the game. So, as an example, playing the player heads-up poker. Oh, okay, so it's like it's like head-to-head leagues in American fantasy sports. Like baseball and basketball and stuff. Yeah, those were quite fun. I used to play those back in high school. Fantasy NBA, Fantasy MLB, Fantasy NFL. So yeah, maybe I should do a head-to-head league. We'll see how it goes. But head-to-heads can be so random though. Looking forward to your ins for this week and my outs. Oh, as in for my team? Yeah, I mean it's gonna be interesting. The transfer video that I wanted to do, I can't do it because of we have some things that we need to do, or I have some things that I need to do here, because we're getting new carpet, so I have to move some stuff around. Which is a pain in the nuisance. To do a video the same night as well as after I come home from work and have to do all that sort of stuff is a bit challenging. So, but I could probably mention it on the deadline stream because we'll be doing it for an hour and a half. So, yeah, that should be quite fun. But let's get into the predictions for the final game week of the season. All the teams play at the same time. And it's going to be a fun one. And right at the top of the bill, going in alphabetical-ish order, we have Arsenal versus Brighton. Probably a game that means not too much, to be honest. Although, there is a real chance that if Arsenal were to win, which they should, they are capable of beating Brighton. They are definitely capable of beating Brighton. although they've been very poor versus Brighton in the past. And there is still a real chance that Leicester beat Spurs, and there is a real chance that Man City beat Everton, both having their home fans. May see a situation where Arsenal get Europa Conference League, which would be very funny. All things considered. And it would have been a very, very, very weird season for them. Will I consider Burnley defense Loughton or Taylor? As cheap defenders and enablers, yeah, possibly. So what I might do is, I would play Shaw. Let's say if I think he's going to start versus Wolves, I definitely like him in that fixture because Wolves don't necessarily score. And then what I would do is I would bring in somebody and have them on the bench as a potential, to come in for him, and I would use that would be a Loughton or a Taylor because I can do it straight swap with like Aina or Masuaku. Masuaku's been a terrible, unfortunate, signing since I've gotten him. Literally, I got him in early in the season. Then he got injured. I brought him back in again, and he was injured the week I brought him in. We just didn't know it. And yeah, Arsenal could still go 7th. They need to win, and they need both Spurs and Everton to lose. But yeah, they could be quite good, astute defenders, considering they play Sheffield United. So, could be interesting. But Arsenal versus Brighton, I don't think they're going to get 7th, but I do think that they probably just beat Brighton. I think. I think that they beat Brighton. So probably 2-1, I think it's going to be the score. Should you sell Dan Burn for Loughton or Taylor? I'm not sure if Dunk is back, but I wouldn't trust Burn to be in the squad definitely, in order to start. I would say if it's a free transfer that you can do and you need that defender slot, I would say go for probably a Burnley defender. I would say that's probably best. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave... I'm gonna put question marks on the three big ones that matter. And we'll do those ones last because those are the ones that those are the real spicy games. Fulham versus Newcastle, no. Not really much to say there. At least I hope it's no because I could potentially have a Newcastle defender and a Fulham goalkeeper, so that could be interesting as well. Leeds versus West Brom. I mean, West Brom, Sam Allardyce has already come out and said that he's, not coaching them next season, so, which makes sense. He was brought in to hopefully keep them up, and he couldn't, so, is what it is. I think Leeds win. I think they win quite comfortably. I think they keep clean sheet too. Actually, no, I probably think West Brom probably nick one. They'll nick one, I think. Maybe a set piece or something. So skipping over the 2 question mark games, then we have Man City versus Everton. I think with the fans, again, should be quite comfortable for City. I think 2-0 is probably what we're going to see. I think probably the best return that you're probably going to see if Aguero plays is probably a goal. I wouldn't expect more than that. But one can hope, right? As a fan, as a neutral fan, as an FPL fan, what I would like to see is Aguero start, he gets a hat trick, and then gets taken off as a substitute so that the fans can clap him off on his his final game. That for me, as for looking for something of nostalgia, that's what I would like to see. As a United fan, different story. I don't want Aguero to play because if he scores 2 goals or more, then he breaks Rooney's record of most goals by one player at a single club. So yeah, that's what I don't want. So, but I think he definitely deserves the chance to at least try to do it. Burnley versus Sheffield United. I don't think Sheffield United score personally. I think Burnley probably get a couple of goals off set pieces. I think Burnley probably win 2-0, to be honest. I don't think Sheffield United score here. Burnley have been looking shaky in defense, but again, when you just keep blocking stuff and, it's going to be quite hard for, Sheffield United to deal with it. Yeah, home fans, Sheffield United. I mean, but again, at the end of the day, home fans can only take you so far. Burnley will want to finish the season off strong. They're going to be, I think they're just a better team than Sheffield United, all things considered. If Pope's back, then they should be fine. I think 2-0 Burnley. West Ham versus Southampton. Now, this is interesting because West Ham still want to win because they want to keep themselves in the European place. If we look back at that, if West Ham win, then they secure themselves 6th place, no matter what everyone else does. So they're going to be looking to win, and I think they'll do that. I think they'll probably scrape through just barely. I think they'll win by 2-1, and I think Southampton, just like Yamano, I think Southampton will probably nick a goal on a set piece or something like that. Wolves versus Man United. I mean, United's lineup could be basically anything. It could be a bunch of youngsters. So, to be honest, I'm just going to go 1-1. I'm going to say United probably concede a goal to Traore running down the wing and then crossing the ball into somebody, and it goes in off their shin. And then United probably scores a goal because Mason Greenwood's good or something like that. That's the only way I can see it. 2-1 Wolves. Interesting. Very interesting. I mean, United's second string for the longest time was holding Leicester out quite good, so it could be interesting. Basically, the team that I could probably see them playing is they'll probably rotate goalkeepers, so Henderson will be in net. They'll probably have Brandon Williams at right back, Tellez at left back. They'll have probably Bailly and not Lindelof, basically, at center back. I don't know who's going to play there, but it's going to be not, in midfield, they'll have probably Matic and Van de Beek. Then they'll probably have, maybe they'll play Alanga, Diallo, Greenwood, and Mata again. Maybe that's the team that they'll play. But maybe they do, because Twanzebe played the last game, so maybe he plays again. Because, it's, in the final, if Maguire's not fit, it's going to be Lindelof +1. I think, personally, Twanzebe's looked our best defender out of those three. I mean, who knows? Could be Phil Jones. We have no clue. So, yeah, it could be basically anyone. So, I personally think that if you have the likes of Fernandez and Shaw, potentially look to get rid, I would say. If you can bring in somebody that's going to have some upside, and you can use those funds wisely, then I would say, it's probably quite good. Like, if you can go from Shaw to Robertson or Trent, one transfer, I think that's just the most sensible move. Where's that lad Jones? Who knows, man? Who knows? All right, so we're going to talk about all three of these games in one kind of fell swoop. So the situation as it stands now so the teams that we got left. So we can start off with Liverpool versus Crystal Palace. So Crystal Palace, nothing really to play for. If Liverpool win, they know pretty much that they're in. And they have the easiest fixture, and they're at home. So I think Liverpool probably win this game quite comfortably. I think it may be a little bit on the timid side, maybe not as fortunate with the 3 goals that they scored versus Burnley. I can see just 2. I can see just 2-0, which puts Liverpool in a top 4 spot. Now the other 2 games are much harder to call. Aston Villa's coming off a win. So are Chelsea. Aston Villa has the home crowd. Aston Villa's going to be difficult to beat. They have Jack Grealish back. The only player that's out for them is Matty Cash. Chelsea, they're going to want to play a full strength team. They can definitely do that. And with Havertz potentially injured, that could be a bit of a problem because they've been having problems up front. Maybe they go with the likes of Giroud in this game, is possible, to add a bit of a bit more hold-up play and allow Werner and somebody else to be runners in behind. I think that could be a good situation there. But Chelsea are probably going to find this game quite difficult. I think the likes of Havertz would have been good because he can float in and around the center backs who have been positionally, well, mainly Mings, has been positionally just all over the shop. Havertz should be fine for Sunday. That's still not guaranteed, but if he is fit, I think Havertz has to play. I think Havertz is so good as a player and is also like stylistically very good versus Villa, because Villa, McGinn likes to just hack players down because it's John McGinn. Douglas Luiz, he's the same thing. They can get caught out at times. It can make silly fouls. And then Mings has made mistakes in recent weeks as well. And I think Havertz is just so clever, kind of glides across the pitch, and I think that he's going to be crucial in that game. I have Bruno and Shaw plus Digne and DCL. Any tips for outs? Well, DCL and Digne are going to play. That's one thing. It could be against the rotated Man City team. We don't know. DCL is good enough to score versus any team, basically, because he is that good. Digne is good enough to put a set piece in and score against any team. Bruno and Shaw are most likely not going to play a single minute because they're going to be playing 90 minutes 3 days from then. So that's, that's a bit tricky. Villa 1, Chelsea 2, Grealish help again, but it's also at home. Yeah, Werner and Havertz in attack, Mount just in behind them. Yeah, see, Xhaka knows. That's probably the best way to go about it. Chilwell and Reece James, Jorginho and Conte probably. Actually, I would honestly, if Kovacic is fully fit, I would go Kovacic and Conte, because I think that is just like solid. Mind you, Kante came off early, so maybe he goes with Jorginho and Kovacic. But you probably want him for the final. So if he is going to potentially be fit for the final, then probably rest him, because Jorginho is obviously perfectly serviceable as well. I'll tinker and let you know my thoughts. No worries. I will be here, obviously, or you can always tweet me as well. Jorginho and Kante probably shouldn't risk Kovacic. Well, Kante came off injured as well, so it's, do you risk the guy that's just recently picked up an injury and came off early, or do you risk the guy that's just coming back from injury? Who knows? Maybe you risk Billy Gilmore. Maybe you go Gilmore and Jorginho, and you just say, well, hopefully we can get away with it. That could be interesting as well. But yeah, getting back to the prediction. Excuse me. So Leicester versus Spurs. I personally think that Spurs are so bad. I think they're just so bad at the moment. And I think Leicester can just burn them because the defense is just terrible. I personally think I can see Leicester winning this game. I think they'll probably concede one. But I can see Leicester winning the game. I'm going to go with 2-1, which doesn't really help them unless Chelsea lose. He wasn't injured. He just felt his hamstring and went off before he got injured, so he's fine. Okay, well, if that's the case, then yeah, sure. But that could also be that he's also kind of half injured in a sense, where it's like, hey, look, if I go and play 60 minutes again, maybe it gets worse, or I, make it, it becomes really bad, And then Villa versus Chelsea. So in this scenario, I have Liverpool winning. I have Leicester beating Spurs barely. So that would put... so West Ham would be on 65. Spurs would be on 59. Everton would lose. Arsenal would win. So Arsenal would actually make a European place for me, which is interesting. Leicester would be on 69. Chelsea, Liverpool would be on 69. And Chelsea would be on whatever score I put them on. So basically Leicester would come 5th. For some reason, I have a funny feeling. I have a sneaking suspicion. Like, I just have a weird, funny feeling that Leicester will win against Spurs. Chelsea will draw with Villa, which will leave them out of the top 4, but I think they'll win the Champions League final. For some reason, I just, like I could just picture. That's the thing that I can picture the most clearly. Is Liverpool ends up coming third randomly. They basically pull a United from last season. Like all of a sudden, just like out of the top four, out of the top four, out of the top four, slowly make their way up, and then all of a sudden they end up third. I think that's probably Liverpool. Leicester probably just scraped through everything, having a scare. And I think Chelsea end up dropping out, but they have the and they go and they win it when it matters for the Champions League. Champions League is top four. Yeah, it's not the most secure way to do it. You'd obviously want to get top four and then go play Champions League as a one-off game where you can win a trophy, right? The most prestigious trophy apart from the Premier League, right? So for some reason, I just think it's going to be one. I think it's going to be 1-1. I think it's going to be some type of scored draw between Aston Villa and Chelsea. I don't know why. I think like Villa get a goal early, go into halftime 1-0. Chelsea then get one early in the second half. Tuchel makes a whole bunch of changes. Nothing really happens. He brings on Giroud or something. They get a few chances. They don't put them away. And then Leicester in the other game is winning. And they hang on. And then Liverpool's already got the game in the bag versus Crystal Palace. And then Chelsea end up beating City in the Champions League final. For some reason, that's how I can see it. Don't ask me why. It's just the first thing that popped in my head was Chelsea drops out. Leicester somehow hang on because Chelsea mess up. But Chelsea still redeem themselves because of the Champions League. Maybe it's just because of the losing the FA Cup, win to make themselves look good in the Champions League, then drop out of the Champions League place, then win the Champions League. Like, that seems like the craziest roller coaster, I guess. Just hope Liverpool will lose points to Palace, just to see the beef between Liverpool and United Sports when Liverpool is playing in Europe. Wait, if Liverpool lose points to Palace, why would that matter? If Liverpool loses points to Palace, they don't make top four. I don't understand. Or are you saying that like Liverpool playing Europa and it be United laughing at Liverpool fans because they're like, oh, well, you're in Europa now and we're in the Champions League where you were laughing at us last season or whatever. I guess. I don't know if that's what you were saying. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, there you go. Well, United, I mean, they were both in Champions League last season. Remember, United was in Champions League last season. Or this season, rather. They just came third. Because they had PSG and Leipzig in their group, who technically should be better teams than United. They definitely play better football than United do. So yeah. Right. So that's the predictions. Let's move on to the clean sheet differential. Clean sheet this week I've gone with Leeds. For some reason I predicted West Brom to nick a goal, but I'm going to change that back. West Brom ain't scoring a goal. Sam Allardyce's team ain't scoring versus Leeds. You say Leipzig should be a better team than United. This season, when United started their Champions League campaign, I was looking at Leipzig and PSG saying, we ain't beating either of those two teams. I was thinking we were going to beat the what is it, Besiktas or whatever I can't remember their name, but the Turkish team that we ended up winning one, losing one to. I thought we were going to beat them twice, lose to PSG twice, and then lose to Leipzig once, and then maybe get a draw from them. I thought that's what was going to happen. Besiktas, I don't know how to pronounce it. I know that they were, had we beat them in both legs, we would have actually gone through, no problem. But yeah, when I saw that group, I was like, it's finished. United bought a backup left back to Luke Shaw. It's like, okay, who we thought was initially going to be the starting left back with Luke Shaw up this game. Cavani, we're like, oh, desperate signing, is he actually going to be good? Van der Beek, we're like, okay, good midfielder. Can he come in and do good? But I mean, he hasn't played. Diallo, pretty much the same thing, hasn't really played on an extensive level. Palestri, haven't seen any of him. He's gone out on loan. So, I mean, basically, you can kind of say that the the only real signing we've really realistically had has been Cavani, and he was free. So everyone else has either played very little minutes or not had an impact really on any like real level. Like Van de Beek hasn't really played in it. Like he was a part of the game where we lost away to Besiktas. Again, if I'm mispronouncing it, I'm sorry. Um, in the Champions League, but that was because the whole defense was just all over the place in that game. And then when the players, the main guys we brought on just didn't do anything, or we couldn't get back into it and win. Tejas has been good when he's played, but has been, you know, looks a bit rusty at times because he just hasn't played much football. And the same with Van der Beek. Diallo's just he's young, and Palestri's been on loan, so not really much you can do. Like in the first half of the season, I thought Chelsea, yes, this is our season, middle of the season. Please finish top 10, end the season. We can win the FA Cup and the Champions League. Yeah, true. Moving on to our goalkeeper pick for differential. Again, it's hard to pick a goalkeeper with 5% or less. I mean, there's so many goalkeepers that have been rotated recently. I'm just going to stick with Alisson because I know he's going to play, and he's close enough to 5%. So if you're looking for a differential Liverpool player, Alisson's definitely your guy. Then I've gone with Fernandez with a Z, the defender for Newcastle, 0.5% owned, and I believe he got 2 bonus points. Actually, that was the one thing I wanted to check. Did Jesse Lingard end up getting 2 bonus points? He ended up getting 2 bonus points. Check that out. Yeah, Newcastle. Yeah, Fernandez ended up with 2 bonus points, 29 BPS. So clearly he's doing a lot of clearances or something. Cresswell for Digne, KDB for Bruno, Cresswell for Shaw. Other option is Mane for Bruno, Harrison for Jota, Bamford for DCL. I don't think KDB for Bruno is smart because he's probably going to get hooked early-ish. FPL admin 100% of Suchek and Lingard. Yeah, probably. That's the only reason that BPS could have gone up. Cresswell for Shaw is probably not a bad shout. If you think West Ham's going to keep a clean sheet. Because remember, Southampton are going to be decent on set pieces. I think Mane for Bruno potentially is the most upside because they could slap Palace potentially. Harrison for Jota is also probably a good shout. Bamford for DCL. Again, DCL is going to play, so if your bench is looking thin, I would say DCL is probably not the best player to get rid of. I would say go for the players that you know are probably not going to play, like Shaw and Bruno. And the thing is, they might still play. That's the thing. But they might come on as subs at the end of the game or something. Or they literally might just not play at all. And we'll have to see kind of what Ollie says. But I'm pretty confident you can say that Bruno and Shaw and these sorts of players, they ain't going to start. The only person I can see starting from the normal, 14 players that United typically use is Greenwood. To get in Mane, I need to get rid of Jota also, as I've already got three pool already. Well, if you have 2 free transfers, or even if you don't, I think Mane in for Bruno, Harrison for Jota. Job done. I think that could do quite nicely. A couple differentials, nothing too crazy. Yeah. Did you see the Reguilon own goal, Puskas award ready? Yeah, he that looked like one of my tee shots when I was playing golf. And leaving Digne and DCL, well, it depends on what the rest of your team looks like. So for me, if you have players that you can reliably put in instead of them, so like if let's say on the bench you have Soufal or you have I'm just trying to think of players. Maybe you've had Nat Phillips this whole time, or maybe you have a cheap Burnley defender, or maybe you have Target still. Cody, I mean, it's probably not a bad fixture to play Cody, to be honest. United are pretty bad at set pieces. Best goal Tottenham have scored this season, to be fair. No, I'm pretty sure Bale's probably... Surely Bale scored a good goal this season, right? Actually, no, Son's goal was probably the best that they had against Arsenal. When he just bent it from way outside the box. Oh, and Lamela. Oh, yeah, of course. No, Lamela's goal wins, yeah. He gets a Serbian brace. He scores a Rabona goal and then gets sent off. What a legend. In midfield, I've gone with Torres. I think he would have played the full game versus Brighton, but I think he because obviously with the sending off, he had to come off and was a sacrifice for that. And I think he's probably the only player that I can see potentially being as vying for one of the guys in the lineup for the Champions League spot in the Man City lineup. And then lastly, I picked Firmino last week. I'm going to double down on him. Now, not very often I do this, and this is just because Firmino as a player has been, under some serious criticism, but he's been doing okay for himself, and I think he could be a very good differential. I'm certainly considering him over Mane potentially. And he would be somebody that I could, downgrade Vardy for. Although I like Vardy on the final day of the season, so again, it could be a bit tricky, and I'd rather probably get rid of Fernandes or Shaw because they're most likely not going to play. But yeah, if you're looking for somebody a bit different, Firmino is definitely your guy. And Mane was over 5%, which is why I didn't pick him. So yeah, I'll post those over on Twitter after this. I agree with you. It's a third transfer. It's DCL out for Bamford or Shaw/Digne out for a decent defender. And as far as this week, I don't see a standout defender. I already have Dallas and TA. How many transfers do you have, Mono? Do you have 2? I think you messaged me on Twitter, and I think you said you saved a transfer this week, if I remember correctly. Oh, so you can do 2 frees. Okay. So if you have Dallas and TAA, and your other defenders are Shaw, Digne, and Cody, I think you only need to realistically make... you don't realistically need to take a hit for a defender. Because Digne is going to play. He could get some attacking potential. And get something versus... Like, what did he do when they played City? When did they play City? Man City. He got an assist last time they played City. They're also away from home, which is better. And it could be a rotated City team, so you never know. I think the fact that you have Shaw, who's probably not going to play, but you have Cody and Digne, who are definitely going to play for both their teams, who can still get you just some points. I don't think it's worth taking a hit if you think that there's a defender, if there's not really a good standout defender. Like, the only one would be Robertson, but then you'd have to do some, you couldn't get Mane, you couldn't get somebody else. But I think your 2 transfers would be to, you said that you have, so you have Dallas. Is Dallas your only Leeds player? Because if Dallas is your only Leeds player, you could just go for Fernandes to Harrison. Like you said you were gonna do. Yeah, Dallas only. So yeah, just go Fernandes to Harrison, and then go or Mane for Bruno, and then Jota for Harrison. And then if you wanted to go for the -4, if you really wanted to go for the -4, you can do Bamford for DCL. I'm not sure what the third would be a hit for Bamford. Yeah, I mean, it depends on who you're benching for that hit too. So you're taking out Fernandes, you're taking out Shaw. You're playing Trent, you're playing Dallas, you're playing Cody or Digne, probably Digne just because he has slightly more upside. And then you have Cody plus one other defender on your bench. Then in midfield, you got what? Fernandez, who you're taking out for. You would be taking out for Mane as an example. Jota would come out for Harrison. Then you probably have what? Salah and Lingard. And then up front you have what? DCL, Kane, and somebody else. So you're definitely playing Kane. Depends on who your third striker is. I don't know who your third striker would be. Okay, so Henderson, I assume that's Dean Henderson. Digne, T.A., Dallas, Salah, Mane, Harrison, Lingard, Antonio, Watkins, and Bamford. So that's what the team would look like if you did the -4. So if you did Mane and Harrison in and Bamford in. Yeah, I mean, that's probably not terrible. Because is Bamford likely to score 4 points more than Calvert-Lewin when Calvert-Lewin's playing Man City at the Etihad versus Bamford, who's playing versus West Brom at home? I think that's probably okay. Yeah, I think that's fine. And you just play Digne because if he concedes, then yeah, sure, whatever. But if you get the sense that United's going to have a extremely rotated team, then you could probably play Cody, and that's probably fine. But you know Salah's going to play, Mane's going to play, Harrison's most likely going to play, Lingard will play, Antonio will play, Watkins will play, Bamford will play. So but yeah, I think that's fine. Oh, Saka? Oh, I would play. So Saka's your 5th midfielder. If Saka's your 5th midfielder, then I would probably say I'd be more inclined to just bench one of Watkins or Calvert-Lewin. Probably Calvert-Lewin. Play Watkins, play Saka, and not take the -4 for Bamford. That's what I would think. I would just play Digne, T.A., Dallas, Salah, Mane, Harrison, Lingard, Saka, Antonio, and then not take the -4, and then either play one of Watkins, who probably has a better chance of scoring versus Chelsea, considering he's at home, and just put DCL on the bench. That's what I would do. I don't think the -4 is necessarily worth it, in my opinion. Now, could Bamford score a billion goals versus West Brom? Yeah, he could. But Watkins has been playing well. He should have scored more. Should have scored more than what he did this week. So, but yeah, definitely it's going to be interesting. But yeah, here's my team as it stands. So we got Martinez in goal, but we could play Areola versus Newcastle, which would be interesting. Yeah, I'm not really too sure. So the situation I have in my team is, if we look at the players who are probably not going to play, we have Shaw, we have Fernandez, we have Masuaku, who's out for the season, and we have potentially Aina, who might not play. Now, Aina hasn't played the last 2 games, or the last game. He played 61 minutes in Southampton and then got taken off. Didn't play versus Burnley, didn't play versus Man United. But he's played pretty much the rest. You know, maybe it's just because Parker's giving other players a chance. I don't know. But it'd be nice to potentially play And if I don't have to make a defensive transfer, I mean, if Shaw was playing, then I'd be fine. Or if Masuaku was fit, I'd be fine. But that's not going to be the case. So I probably have to make a defensive transfer. Fernandez is another one. Obviously, I can get rid of Fernandez and put in Ward-Prowse. But then I would have Calvert-Lewin, Iheanacho, and Vardy all playing as well, which isn't ideal. So what I might end up doing is I'm definitely going to keep the Leicester guys. I think Iheanacho and Vardy, should be fine versus Spurs, because Spurs are just... I mean, if Vardy's going to shoot and Reguilon's going to put it in his own net, then that's fine with me. I'll take that. We take those. Bamford... If Bamford was a midfielder, then yes. I can go Calvert-Lewin to Bamford. So let's take a look. Let's take a look. So the players that I'm just gonna chop out the players that that aren't playing basically. So Masuaku's probably not gonna play. Shaw's probably not gonna play. Fernandez is not gonna play. The rest of them will probably, but Aina might not either. So that's kind of a problem. So realistically, I need to make a defensive transfer. I don't necessarily need to make a midfield transfer, although I could. But I could just play Ward-Prowse instead and just be like, you know, YOLO, play him against West Ham and we'll see what happens. Maybe he gets a set piece goal or something. And I just roll with it. But, you know, I can always go Calvert-Lewin. You know, Bamford comes in. I keep just hang on to Fernandez. And then I could get, I believe I can get, is Robertson? Oh, Robertson 7-2. We're just off, which is unfortunate. But we'd still have to play Digne, and our midfield would be very, very weak. So what I might just do is I can technically transfer out, in air quotes, Calvert-Lewin by benching him. So what we could do is leave Calvert-Lewin there, get rid of Fernandez. Bring in Mane. Get rid of Masuaku. Bring in a cheap defender like Fernandez who plays Fulham, or a Burnley defender like Ben Mee, who plays Sheffield United. And then I would play Trent, I would play Ben Mee, and then I would start, if for whatever reason I got early team news that Aina was starting versus Newcastle, or I knew that Shaw was starting versus Wolves, I would play them. But if not, I would play Digne. I would then play 5 across midfield. I play Salah, I play Lingard, I play Mane, I play Ward-Prowse, I play Rafinha. And then I play Vardy and Iheanacho. And then I'd probably captain Salah, probably. That's probably the most realistic thing I can do. And that still leaves me in good stead to if, you know, my defense is still the problem. But if somebody were to miss out for whatever reason, then Calvert-Lewin can come in for them. But I think it's better to bring in a cheap defender for Masuaku, who I know is not going to play. I can put in Aina if I want. You know, to start, because he does play Newcastle, but it's a lot better. It's definitely a lot better. And this defender that I'd be bringing in, I'd be playing them. I'd be playing Trent. It's just a matter of who do I start. Do I start Digne and say, hopefully he gets me an attack in return, and then it's whatever? Or do I start Aina, hope he plays, hope he doesn't get subbed on. Hopefully Fulham and Newcastle keep a clean sheet between each other, and I get a double clean sheet or something if I bring in a Newcastle defender. Keep Ward-Prowse on the bench. So I bench Ward-Prowse over Calvert-Lewin. So I'd bench Ward-Prowse and keep Calvert-Lewin in, you think? And just hope that Everton gets something at City. Calvert-Lewin scored last time they played City? Where's Man City? Man City? He didn't play, actually. And just go 3-4-3? Maybe. Trent, Aina, and Ben Mee, or whatever my defender is. Salah, Lingard, Mane, Rafinha, DCL, Vardy, Iheanacho. Maybe. For some reason, I'm kind of drawn to... Yeah. If I get word of the United squad, like who's going to be on the bench and whatnot, like if I see Shaw's like not even in the whole squad, then that's fine. If I know that you know, Aina's starting or something, then it depends. Because ideally I would like to play Aina versus Newcastle if I could, and maybe they keep a clean sheet. Or you can go the other end and play Digne and take DCL for Bam Bam for a -8. Oh, you're saying do this. So instead of doing that, go the attacking route and go like that and just hope Aina plays, basically. Hope Aina or Shaw come in and get me something. Yeah, I could see that too. And then I just have to hope that my, you know, my differentials basically would be Mane coming in, would be Vardy and Iheanacho versus Spurs. Because I'm gonna have a lot. It depends. Like, if Spurs win big, I'm in trouble. If Leicester win big, I might be in the money. It just depends. Because they play each other. How bad is Masuaku? He's injured. He's a good player. Just been injured. I brought him in twice this season. He got injured, I think, the game after the first time I brought him in. And the second time I brought him in as part of that crazy -20. And he was literally injured like a couple of days after I brought him in. Which is insane. I got super unlucky. Yeah, Jota may be back too, so that's another whole kettle of fish there as well. So, but I don't know. I think I might play Ward-Prowse. Like, I don't know. It's maybe Ward-Prowse gets something. I don't know. Maybe he gets a random free kick or something. But we will see. I think I'm gonna leave it there. So yeah, this is the team as it currently stands. Got Martinez, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Digne, Shaw, Salah captain, Fernandez vice captain, Rafinha, Lingard, Vardy, Calvert-Lewin, and Iheanacho in the main team. Areola, Ward-Prowse, Masuaku, and Aina on the bench as it stands. It's probably going to change for sure before the deadline. So let's move over to the big screen. So yeah, that's going to do it for this one. The top 4 race is on, and make sure to tune in for all the remaining videos for the season coming out. 2 transfers is probably what I'm looking at for my team, and I can probably get away with it. Maybe I go and have a little bit of fun and just, you know, owning other players for hits and just don't really care about the rank and just hope for some fun players to come through. I'm still considering the Aguero move as well, if I knew he was going to start. So that's still in the back of my mind as well. So even that is still a possibility. Maybe I go Fernandes down to somebody and then up Calvert-Lewin to somebody as well, and then go from there. So we may still do that. But yeah, that's going to do it for this one. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll be back on Friday with our lineup announcement video, and then we'll be back for the deadline stream an hour and a half before the FPL deadline. So the deadline for me is 10:30 my time. So I will be here 9 a.m. my time, which is 8 a.m. EST, or for those in the UK, it'll be 1 p.m. UK time. I think I've done the calculation correctly, but there'll be a pinned comment down below on the YouTube VOD, so make sure to check that out and join us for the deadline stream. I'm not sure, but I think I'm going to be releasing a video on that same day, the Sunday, which is going to be what I think Gareth Southgate's England squad is going to be, because he's going to announce his squad on Tuesday of next week, and then I'm going to put what squad I think I would go with basically on the Sunday, and then probably you know, after our renovation stuff done, I think we're looking to you know, get it done the following week. So I'd have to do the like the end of season review thing, which might just be a stream, you know, or one Friday where I just kind of go through and look at my team and kind of jot things down in a spreadsheet. It might be boring for some people, but it's a good reflection stream. That could be a long time. So I'm not sure when I'm going to do that, but I'll announce that, you know, whenever. And then Euro Fantasy Football, maybe I might do that. Maybe I might take a little break from it, just kind of chill out and watch the games. I still have yet to set up my what's on the doable. It's over there on the floor. Capture card, so we can do our potential career modes for like United or City or whoever. We'll see. And then also what I might do is you know, maybe just a watch along for some of the Euro games as well. And yeah, we might do just some fun stuff over the break. Then as soon as fantasy comes back, we'll be back right into it. And I'll make sure to wait until once the lineups, once your team sheets come out that night, whenever that will be, whether it's a weekend, a weekday, whatever it is, the second it's available, my next available convenience, as it were, I will go and set up my team blank as I did before. I don't really care about my ID. Doesn't really matter. Some people like getting the smallest ID number possible. I don't really care too much. I'll just do it because I like having the nice blank team sheet, as it were. And we'll check out player price and that sort of stuff. So that stream could be a lot longer. But yeah, rambled on enough. Thank you all for watching. Like I said, we'll be back Sunday for the last deadline stream of the 2020-2021 season. We'll be back an hour and a half before the FPL deadline, so make sure to come check us out here on Twitch. Thanks for watching, and until the next one, take care.